Welcome to Minibytes session 16. Now this is all about using Teams well with older children. Teams is a Microsoft product which is used around the world now for interacting between colleagues who are remote from each other. But as we transition back into school, we're seeing Teams could be used in the classroom or to support home learning in a more dynamic way than previously done. This is brought to you by Schools ICT, North Yorkshire Local Authority Service, which provides education, technology support and training and sales. So anything from laptops and hard disks and iPads all the way through to EdTech advice and computing curriculum support. It's also combined with the EdTech service, and we are part of North Yorkshire Education Services, or NES, and the new branding coming through is NES Digital, which includes Schools ICT and the EdTech service. If you are interested in becoming a Microsoft Innovative Educator, you can use the code at the bottom of the screen there, which is TGTA64E521, and that will give you 300 credits towards becoming a Microsoft Innovative Educator. You need to get 2,000 credits and 2 hours of online training in total, but that will give you a good start. You can also watch previous videos on Microsoft products to get other codes with credits as well if you're interested in doing so. If you want to find out anything else about the Microsoft Innovative Educator program, the Friday session this week is all about MIE. So without further ado, we're going to move on to using Teams well with older children. I'm just going to switch across to Teams and let us begin. So this is my Teams area here, and we're going to use a demonstration classroom. I'm going to show you my primary classroom very briefly as a contrast because I've done a previous session on primary, and you'll see here there's emojis and icons all the way around, and we've got linked lessons. If you were interested in doing that session, you can have a look and find out how to do cross links between lessons and channels in that video, which was recorded on the 22nd of February. I think it was perhaps session 2 or session 1 of these 21 and 21 Minibytes, so a bit of a callback there. However, today we're in my secondary classroom, which is 21 and 21 Minibytes secondary classroom. Another nice picture of the bard there, William Shakespeare himself. Please bear in mind, I'm not an English teacher. I've just used English as a content example. I was previously a science teacher, but if I put in science specific information, it might scare people off. So let's start off with this. I'm going to try and engage with my students, my older students, and I want to get them visually engaged with things. So perhaps a bit of dual coding might be required, or perhaps a bit of just visual bookmarking in place. Now, you may be aware of how to add a conversation to a team. So we're here in the team, we're in the post, and we just click on new conversation, and we start something here. Now that's absolutely fine, apart from it's a bit dull and boring and it doesn't stand out. We need to change that commentary section there to being something more impressive, something which stands out more, the title perhaps. So we can go one better than this. If I click on new conversation again, and I'm going to, instead of start typing straight away, look at this icon in the bottom, which is an A with a pencil, which says format. As soon as I click on that, I get to format the post I'm putting in. And you'll see it says add a subject here. So this topic is going to be all about writing fiction. So I'm going to say poems of the bard, just to point things out. And that's a title or a subtitle, according to Teams, but it's a title for this post. And I can start a new conversation here, and this can be what Shakespeare plays or sonnets do you know? So what Shakespeare plays or sonnets do you know? And if I spell Shakespeare correctly, it's always better, even though he spelled it differently himself repeatedly. When I post this with the paper airplane icon, I can see there that I've got immediately a title which springs out at me. I can go one better at that, but this is more than sufficient for most things. If I click quickly to my homeworks and assignments channel, you can see I've used these titles to say what the assignment is and just put a link in place. Let's move back. So I've now want to go one step further and get a coloured in dragon for my writing fiction. How do I get that in place? Well, once again, it's a new conversation and the A with a pencil at the bottom for formatting the post. Now I can click on that. Now, instead of being here at the very top now where it says new conversation, I can click on that. I can give something called an announcement. An announcement is automatically given a headline as well as a subheading and the announcement. So let's just put in here. Fiction story contest. Can you tell a story in only 6 words? So this here was a challenge which is very famous. I can't remember who did it now. I'm having a bit of a memory blank here, but can I think it was baby shoes. For sale, never worn. Something along those lines. So that there is showing the 3 different tiers of text. If I want to change the color background, I can click on the blue square and pick different icon colors. If I want to pick the image background, I can click on it, or the upload an image from my own desktop or saved areas, or I can choose an illustration. And there's my dragon from before. But if I want to do a challenge or a picture, I can pick from here. I've got classes and I've also got clubs, activities and sports as types to follow from. I'm going to say this is classes, and this is going to be a little challenge here, but it's creative writing. So I'll scroll down, have a look for a picture. I'm going to go for this one here because actually it looks like a busy desk. That one there actually more studenty, has less coffee. So I've now got the fiction story contest in place. The colours in place. Can you tell a story in only 6 words as a challenge? And then there, post yours below. Bit of a challenge. And there we go. So that's now a post, which is called an announcement. And you'll see the red icon up here means that it's been announced to everybody who's in that channel. They will get a notice of an announcement being made. It's the same as @signing the channel name. So in this case, it's general. It's the same as doing the @ sign for the general, but then that brings up a different icon. It all does the same thing. It notifies anybody in that channel that something's going on, and they will see these icons on the left-hand side pop up with things changing and red dots appearing. So that's how we make the first thing. It's called an announcement, and you add it by clicking on the editing the text icon on the bottom left hand side to format your post. And then at the top, you format your post from being a new message, new conversation to being announcement. We can then go through from here and we can look at different channels as well. You might want to do a bit of dual coding in your work. I don't know. It depends on which children you have and how they react, but you might want to do a bit of dual coding. When you create a new channel, you click on the 3 dots and click on add channel. You might find that you have channel names and stuff, but you can't do any emojis. That's because channel names here, so this one's going to be called free writing. I should be running out of my vowels today on my keyboard. Free writing. When you click on add channel there, it creates a channel. Now, the Microsoft background work needs to work in place without emojis and so on. So when you create a channel, you cannot give it emojis. But when you go back onto the 3 dots to the channel, you can click on edit the channel here. So edit this channel, a pencil. And by pressing the Windows key and the full stop, so Windows and dot, you get the emoji menu up here. So for free writing, I could pick any of these icons here that I want to. And I've got choices of different things like balloons. It might be my balloons, my thought idea. I like that, or maybe a light bulb perhaps. But it could be anything I want to, which I can refer to over and over again. And there's lots and lots of emojis to pick from, including food ones and so on. I'm just going to pick a fairly straightforward emoji just to show the point. So I'm going to do a thinking face or a rolling eyes face because it shows thinking to me, and then click on save. So now I've got my channel in place. I've got the thinking channel in place. The emoji comes in place and it shows up in there. So this visual timetabling, this dual coding helps secondary students to differentiate between where they need to be. You can also say look for the, or click on the pen, or click on the eye roller. I'll give an example. So how do we get students actually involved in working dynamically within teams? We have to set assignments. Now assignments on the left hand side here is a rucksack icon, or alternatively along the top on the tabs, I've got an assignments tab here. It's not my favorite, so I've clicked on the drop down here. Click on assignments and you can see assignments straight away. As a teacher's perspective, I can see the assignments here. I've got 3 different categories: drafts, assigned and returned. If I click on drafts, this is any assignment I've created but have saved but not published yet. I've got assigned assignments here, and you can see here that I've got 3 which are already live, and I can see how many people have responded. So 1's been handed in. I have 2 students there, 0 out of 5 handed in and 0 out of 2 handed in for prefixes. That's because I've targeted students by different groups. Wednesday's homework, again spelled wrong, is scheduled. I need to change this assignment here, but before I go any further, I can click on returned. And these are assignments which I have marked and returned to the students. Let me click on assigned and just change this Wednesday homework with a spelling mistake in there. I just click on the area and I can change that assignment as much as I want to. But how did I get that in place? Well, let me show you. At the start of a year, I can create any assignments I want to create. I just click on this blue icon here And I can choose from existing or a fresh assignment or a fresh quiz. I'm going to do an assignment because I've done quizzes separately. Quizzes are basically Microsoft Forms, and the Microsoft Forms are integrated into Teams, so you can just access them through this area here. When I click on the new assignment, I give this assignment here. So this might be end of topic test. I'm going to put this in place. I can add resources by clicking on here, and I can go through my OneDrive, my class notebook, and so on. I can pick my folders and I can choose the tabs I want to choose. Alternatively, I can upload from my device if I've got them on my laptop or my computer, and I can then scroll through files here. I've got a demonstration Word document there which I'm going to open, and that will then upload with the green line whizzing across, and I click done. So I've now got a file in place. If I want to submit this assignment live now, it will automatically have the options here for due date of the next day. So I'll change the due date. I'm going to make it, I think Easter is around about then, so I'm going to make it actually after Easter, the 19th. And I'm going to now figure out how to delay the assignment. This text here says the assignment will be posted immediately, but I can change that. If I click on edit, this will then give me a posting date. So I click on schedule to assign in the future. I can click on a posting date. And as long as it's not after the due date, you're fine. So I'm going to put my posting date as being the 29th of March, that week there. And as you can see, they've got multiple weeks to hand it in. I've got to put a time in as well. So I'm going to put that down as being 3:30, 24-hour clock. And I've got due date. And I can put a closing date in there. So the due date is when it's expected, and the closing date is when the assignment no longer receives responses. If I don't click closing date, the assignment will constantly be available for late hand-ins. If I do click a close date, anybody who submits it late or later than the due date will not be submitted. It'll just be closed and they can't hand it in. Click on done, and I've therefore got my assignment. I can do one other thing with an assignment before I schedule it, which I'm going to do now, which is adding a rubric. Now, a rubric's an interesting tool. It basically is a mark scheme in the assignment itself, which allows you to go through and see what's going on. So you can see here I've got multiple rubrics. I'm just going to pick one for creative writing and click on next. And you can see here that my rubric here has got mark criteria in place. Now, as I said before, I'm not an English language teacher, so therefore my rubric is quite simplistic just to show the tool. I can have 4 different scales here, the use of language, and I've got different descriptions for each one. So excellent, good, fair, and poor. The students can see how it goes, and you can see that I've put points in here for yes or no points, and that means I can put in an element of automatic scoring based on how I gauge against the rubric. So I've also got story structure in here, and I've got the rubric in place, and then this option here for redistributing the weights allows me to have 50-50 for use of language or story structure. But if I really wanted to focus on story structure, I'd make it 25% for use of language and 75% for story structure, or I can evenly distribute them by clicking that once, and it will distribute it amongst each and every section. I'm going to click on attach here, and that then puts a rubric in place. I can add my own rubrics and make my own rubrics up as I go, but that there is how it works. I can therefore reuse rubrics over and over again and attach more than one rubric as we go. I click on schedule, and that assignment is now on the assigned area, but it's scheduled and it tells me when it's due alongside the Wednesday homework for next week's students. So that's the assignment, that's the rubric, and I've talked about the rubric creator briefly, but let's move on to how you look at the assignments and writing and using rubrics. If I wanted to do a new rubric, I could click on create an assignment. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to click on assignment and create an assignment fresh here. Now this is a rubric assignment. I'm just going to skip all the rest of it. If I click on add a rubric here, and I can create a new one, so just click on add rubric. This is my demo rubric. And this will help me to do marking. I put in the descriptor here. And these are my scale top, and that's going to be the scale bottom. And I can put points in there if I want to, and it automatically puts the scores in place. And I could, if I had a different section, I could do different numbers of scores. I could do 16, 8, and 4 and 2 if I wanted to do different scoring. It's up to me. Click on attach, and the rubric is there. I'll assign that straight away just to see how it goes. You can see each time I've been putting these assignments in place. If I click on posts, I get notifications in place here. The posts come up and there's a post for the rubric assignment has arrived. So this is notification for students. I'm now going to change my Teams account into my student area by clicking on this one here. This is a student in the team. And I'm going to just click on general here just to see what's going on. So I've got the fiction story contest. I can see that announcement there. And I can see that I could post a response. I've got a rubric assignment here and I can click on view assignments. This is live and I'm doing this as we speak. I can see as I click on the assignment, it will open up the rubric assignment. There was no descriptor in place, but I can add my own work if I want to. I can see how many points are possible. I can click on the rubric to see what the teacher wants me to do. So the rubrics are really useful for guiding students through doing their own best work and to draft and redraft if you're doing English or some other work where improvement is possible. I'm going to again just search for my device and I'm going to upload my demonstration Word document here. Watch the green line go. Done. And I get to hand it in by clicking on this icon here. You didn't just see that and make it up. There was really an octopus hand that just came out and celebrated. Team celebrates each submission you do with a different icon animation, but you can undo your hand ins as well if you want to do something different, and you can hand it in again. It's up to you how you work it. With different accounts, it does different things. Now I'm going to work back into my teacher's account here. I'll just whiz back across into, sorry, I'm in Chrome, not in Teams for this one. So back to my teacher's account, and I'm going to look at the assignments after it's been handed in. I can do this one of two ways. As a teacher, I can go into the assignment itself and click on view assignment, and I will see here in the assignment, I can see all the students I've got in my class and one has handed it in. That was the student George Tyson account I've set up. I've got 2 fake student accounts in my name. Sorry about that. Very confusing. But I've also got 3 other students who are my colleagues and have different names. Now I can look at this if I want to by clicking on handed in. When I click on that, I can see the demo Word document has been opened up and I can see what they've done. They've returned it to hand something in. That's terrible. In 21 minutes. It's not a surprise then. And I can read through this. I can leave comments if I want to. I can use all of Word's functionality to do this. I can use the comment tool, or I can leave feedback here. Okay, there's no best piece of creative writing. I'm being harsh because I'm talking to myself here, but everyone's their own worst critic. I can also click on the rubric here to pop out the rubric, and I can select. Okay, actually, you know what? I'm going to be positive. I'm going to give myself a score, and you'll notice the total out of 100 up here changes depending on how many of these rubric points I click. That will become more apparent later on. It's fair. I've entered the feedback, or I can use that. So I'll click on done. It's not your best piece of creative writing. Scroll down to points which have been done by the rubric and click on return. I'm going to submit that work back to the child, and the child will then see, as I change my login again to the child, that actually when I go back to, there we go, my assignment has been returned and I can view the assignment here. And as a teacher has given feedback, I can see here that my returned work is here. OK, and I can see the feedback is here. This is not your best piece of creative writing and my points. Any further instructions or detail from teacher would be in there. Now, as a teacher, it's quite difficult to bounce between multiple students at once, but if I had multiple students handing things in, it becomes a bit easier to manage. I'm going to click on here and go back to my team again. Sorry, I bounced out the wrong way. And I can use the tool up here, so not just go one by one through the assignments, but if I click on here, I've got something called the assignments tab. I can see all my assigned work and I can see what's been returned. I can go through them that way as well. If I wanted to go in the grade book, the grades tab is really useful because it's like an online grade book. And you can see here the status of each of your assignments you've posted on Teams. So I can see that the 2 George Tysons have been viewing and handing in assignments as we've gone. And I can also see that this one's been handed in. And I can see the rubric assignment, the most recent one, has been actually scored for this George Tyson here. I can then click on the 3 dots and open the student work if I want to, or return it to them, which has already been done. So let's have a look at this handed in piece of work. I'm going to click on the handed in and I'm going to open the student work. This is, oh, it's a lot of fake Latin text here for creative writing. Again, I'm going to click on the rubric of creative writing I think there's more than 8 distinct adjectives there. As I scroll down further, it's the same one as before. I can give rubric feedback. So I'm going to actually be using the same language there. I'll click on done there, and I've got my feedback within the rubric, but I can do separate feedback here. Okay. The points is put in place, and I just click on return, and that child's work is then done. If I'm teaching in a hybrid environment where I've got some children at home, some children at school, or everybody, I can set any assignments I want to in Teams, and it will then give me this mark book functionality. So as a teacher, I can then look at my mark book and I can see what's been assigned. And I can also, let me just go back to the Teams again. I can go back here to the grade book and I can look at these assignment by assignment, date by date, points by points, and see how it goes. You see the numbers of scores go in there. I can export it to Excel and get my own spreadsheet coming out of it as well for reporting in later on. So if you name your assignments well, you can then export and transfer things to your own MIS fairly quickly. There's one last thing I'm going to be looking at today about how to work with your children and young people in Teams, and this is called Class OneNote. Just very briefly for Class OneNote, it's a tool called Class Notebook, and it opens up here in Teams itself, in the Teams window. Now, OneNote is a whole training session in itself and more than 21 minutes by itself as well. But if you click on this, you've got a filing cabinet of resources by the teacher, and you've got pages within those filing cabinet drawers. I'm going to click on Open in browser. I'm going to open it up in OneNote so you can see it a bit more easily. One benefit of this is that I might be able to save on photocopying forever. So I've got these student groups here, and they've got coursework folders in place. So you can see Chris and Christiana have got coursework folders in place. I want this worksheet to go to all students. If I click on that and then click on Class Notebook as an option on the tab at the top, I can distribute that page just to everyone, so either to individuals or to a group, which might be a subset of tables, so I might be dividing by SEN or other groups for support materials, or I can click on cross notebook distribution, but this is distribute page. It gets one copy of that page to everybody in the class. I'm going to put it in the class, let me have a look, put in the class notes folder and distribute. You can see here that's going to all students in that classroom and it's cascaded the worksheet through. So I can see it's coming through and I've got a record of what's going on. That is going way by the by. We've only had 21 minutes and we've used them all quite fast. Just in brief, we have looked at the channels and putting emojis on the channels. We've looked at assignments and announcements. We've used the announcements in different formats and put text in there. You can get children to do emoji responses to say they've shown something. You can also create a new tab here, as I have done with Wikipedia, to bring an external website into your Teams account so the children don't need to go anywhere else. So we've got assignments, we've got rubrics, we've got responses, we've got Class OneNote, and we've got tabs in place, and all of those tools can be used to enhance your experience of using Teams with older children. Thank you very much for your time. That's the end of our 21 minutes. We've gone slightly over, but hopefully it's been of use to you all. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask them via the chat. Otherwise, thank you for coming, and I hope to see you around sometime in the future.